Oh, that worked really well.
All right, I'd like to call to order the Village of Marvin Parks, Recreation, and Greenways Board meeting here on Tuesday, November 7th at 9 a.m. First item on the agenda, we do have a quorum and we have no remote participants. So first item is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any requests for changes, updates, anything to the agenda? Do I hear a motion on the table to adopt the agenda as it is written?
So moved. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. The next is the adoption of the previous minutes from October 3rd, 2023. And those were shared in our packets. Any questions, edits, or updates to those minutes?
Nope.
Do I hear a motion on the table to adopt the October 3rd, 2023 meeting minutes as they are written?
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Second, yeah.
I was looking at y'all. I'll second.
All right. Next item on the agenda is public comment period, and there's no public, so no comment. Next item is Parks and Recreation update, update on event planning. And Tyler, I'm assuming that's you.
All right, so coming up on November 18th is our Brewing Q event. That's very tentative right now. We have a hard drop dead date of November 9th, Thursday. If we don't have any more participants sign up to be the actual grillers, we'll cancel that event.
Do we have any?
No.
Could just be brew.
Could just be show up and bring your beer at the park.
What do you think is the reason that we don't have participants?
We waited awfully late to promote the event. Oh, sorry. I feel like we waited too late to promote the event.
I think it was a combination of maybe that, and we had competitors wanted. And I'm thinking that maybe some of the backyard novices may have thought it was more competitive. And when I compete in something, I like to know what the prize is. And I'm not sure we advertised it as well as we could have. And maybe it could have been something bigger.
What is the prize?
Yeah.
Well, see, right, yeah.
Well, and I knew I wasn't going to do it, so I didn't really.
Right, so, I mean, I don't know, it's a gift basket of
Yeah, it'll just be like
grilling
themed
stuff. So I think that there's some things that we can learn from it. I still think it's a great idea.
I do too.
But I think, and I know that we've done a really hard push to try to get some kind of outside of the Marvin area. But I think we're gonna have to find like a group of griller type people and just be like, come on, we gotta do this. And then once we get 1 year under our belt, it'll start to do it, so.
Yeah, just a quick question, because it wouldn't involve Tyler. Who did we solicit? You know, I was thinking that we would go after some of these big barbecue grillers that go to all these different places. Did we just promote it internally to Marvin?
They did it on Facebook, they did it through What's Up Waxhaw. I mean, they pushed it out, probably not as early, but again, we're trying to, it's a learning curve. We're trying to figure out, again, what's the balance between too big, too small, not enough, too many. But they definitely did it internally, Marvin, but then they started, once we weren't getting people, they started really pushing it out external. And I know that they have talked to some people who are interested. I don't know if it was the timing of it. I don't know if like competitive type grillers or even non-competitive type grillers, like do you have your grill season like scheduled? Like, that's one thing I was thinking. I was like,
I think this is
Like
a little late in the year
months.
for grilling, because when I mentioned it to my husband, he was like, people are cleaning up their grills and packing them away at
Now's
this
the time to
point.
get it out.
Yeah, I grill all year
Oh,
round.
yeah.
Well, so
It's too
in,
hot otherwise.
Well,
Yeah,
you know.
I get your point.
but yeah, I mean, a lot of people close down their grills in the winter. I don't know if that's around here. 'Cause I'm not originally around.
Well, and the other thing is the portability of something. I mean, like, I can drag the Weber over to the park if you want, but, you know. Some people have some elaborate systems and a trailer and all that.
Are we going to continue to pursue the beer bourbon barbecue type concept? Because if we are, I think instead of doing 2 events, we do 1 event and we combine the bourbon barbecue event together, and I think the participation would be a whole lot better.
yeah, I mean, I think if we want to add the bourbon aspect to it, then I think that would be great. I think we were trying to go bring your own beer. Let's get some grillers and kind of see how it goes. It hasn't gone great. So I think we're going to we'll wait till Thursday and we may pivot to I don't even think we can do it like spring. I think we're going to have to pick an early fall date and start kind of
In advance.
now.
Right.
I think if we can target if there's some sort of association
Yeah,
of
that's-
grillers or
that's what I was
club
thinking,
or
too.
whatever, if we can get a buy-in like pitching a 5K
Yeah.
to a runners club.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. I agree with that. So
The
I
other thing I had a question about, because I've never participated in one of those, but when I was reading the flyers and the marketing, is it common for the host of the event to supply the meat?
No. That's what I was gonna say. I got a friend that's real big into that, and I was talking to him about it. Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking to him about it, and he said he would not participate if he didn't bring his own meat.
Oh, yeah.
That was my concern, because I think they're very particular.
They are,
If they're going to get judged on what they're cooking, they are going to want to supply their own
They
cuts.
prepare the meat, if I'm not, I think I'm right, they start preparing the meat well in advance of the.
Yes,
the
if there's
actual
any kind of
barbecue itself.
marinating or whatever, yes,
And
for
then they
sure.
begin the cooking, 12, 24 hours ahead of time, so.
So that may be another deterrent in there, is just sort of understanding
could be.
barbecue culture.
Yeah. And I mean, I know we were going to give it to them before the day of.
Of course, but if they are
yeah.
thinking, I'm not competing based on, a rack of ribs from Publix, I want
Who,
the
my
stuff from my
guys,
butcher.
my guys stuff.
Yeah.
I
From
mean,
the
that's a good
farm
point.
down the street.
Again, we're learning.
Yeah, we're learning. and-
Learning curve. I think that, I think these are good notes, Tyler, that, I don't think we're going to get 5 to 10 people in the next 2 days. So I think that maybe next meeting, let's put it back on the agenda and we can pick a date in maybe the early fall. Spring's going to be too much with Marvin Day and the 5K and stuff, but I think pick something early fall and then really start researching some groups that we can really just kind of target. I mean, obviously,
And to get their input on how to,
yeah, I mean, that's not a bad
your
idea.
friend compete?
Oh, yeah.
So maybe
maybe we
if you
talk to
wouldn't
Matt's
mind sort of
friend.
consulting
Is it you?
on how these go, that would be awesome.
Also,
Yeah.
check for the date, there's a big, I think it's a chili cook-off in Indian Land that was maybe 3 weeks ago. And I know a lot of you don't go that way, but my neighborhood kind of goes over to Indian Land a lot. It's huge, and you don't want to compete with that. I mean, they bust people into that thing. And I don't remember when it was, but.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember, I'm not sure if it's the difference between chili and barbecue, and, barbecue is typically a lot more difficult, the chili, you kind of do it home, and then bring your crock pot. But I remember Marvin used to have a really successful chili cook-off regularly. I just can't remember if it was sponsored by the village and held at the school, or whether it was sponsored by the school and just kind of disseminated around the village.
When did that stop? Around 2010, something like that?
Yeah, but there had been like 2 to 3 years of it, and it was packed. It was hundreds of people.
Wow.
There were like 40, 50 different people with chili, bringing it and stuff like that. So I can't recall whether it was a village thing that we did at the school or it was like a school fundraiser.
It must have been big. When we were cleaning out the old building, I came across so many event T-shirts for that.
Wow, there were T-shirts.
In the attic.
It got really big over
I mean,
a
chili
couple
can
of
be
years.
really, that can be fun and kind of low entry point, right? I mean, you don't have to go kill a pig.
I mean,
to get-
maybe that's what we want to try to do instead, like a chili bourbon beer.
CBB.
Wine.
Yeah, we could, Tyler, we could call it beer and chill.
There you go. I don't know, I mean, listen, let's think about it. Again, I don't think we're gonna have it,
Kill it.
unfortunately. We'll wait till Thursday, and then you can make the official call, start pulling stuff, but,
Promotions are running until tomorrow.
yeah, just leave them up, and if we miraculously get 5, then fantastic, let's do it. If we don't, then, we'll just bag it, and then we'll kind of reassess, and maybe we start trying to, maybe a little lower entry point, and maybe it's like fabulous, like you said, like it used to be super, that was before my time, like didn't move here until 10, so, but that's wild, so.
Well, and what's also cool about a chili cook-off is you can do a vegetarian angle too.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, they had no bean chili.
Yeah.
There were
Oh,
different
no,
categories.
that's just wrong.
Like 5 different categories of different chilies. Chicken chilies, turkey chili.
Deer chili.
Yeah. Yeah,
Bear-
they did have
bear
venison.
chili.
Yes,
chili.
absolutely. I can help them with that.
I've had bear jerky, so.
Oh, dear. Rattlesnake chili.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
All right, good.
Marsh does not support that. No, rattlesnakes are nice, as long as they're not at my house. They're not at my house, right, Jennifer?
If we're still on event planning, I don't know, but that Halloween exploded again.
Yeah, Halloween
Yeah,
was
how was
awesome.
Halloween?
Wow.
It was pretty cool. There was a ton of people. We had 15 vendor tents out there setting up booths. They brought so much candy, and they ran out and went and got more and came back. And
The candy aspect, is that what draws it?
Candy.
Because I will give away free candy at Marvin Day if it gets people
If
there.
it brings the people.
I'll hand out full-size candy bars. Like, is that the draw? Like, see, I am legitimately being serious. Like, what's the draw for trick or treat versus,
yeah.
oh, we can't park at
Well,
the
the
park
free
for
candy
there?
is a big one, but I know among kids, because I still have a little one that trick or treats, is that families are looking for multiple opportunities for their kids to get dressed up and go out to various events. It's not just isolated.
That
to
seems
Halloween
safe.
night.
So if they, and if they spend $100 on a costume, then
Exactly.
they're.
Exactly. Well, the kid wears it anyway.
And I think we were like pretty exclusive on Friday. That Friday we did it. There wasn't, everybody else was Saturday. So
And that's
So-
how it was
so-
last year, too.
It was
So,
the
so
date,
should
yeah.
we offer up the opportunity at Marvin Day for their kids to utilize their Halloween costume?
Actually, it's not a bad idea to say, wear your whatever. The kids have got multiple costumes.
I mean, I'm not kidding. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm kind of not.
I
'cause
kind of like it.
I'm really trying to figure out what's the draw, and
Dress is your favorite native animal.
Here's the.
Costume contest?
yeah, but then parents are gonna have to buy a new costume, and then they're gonna be like, I'm not doing that.
We was
Well, that would
also
work this year
told
because
that
cows
the
were off the
radio
hook this
announced
year,
it.
so it's
A lot of
a
people
whole
heard about it
herd
on
of
the radio.
Yeah, but it was
Came in.
last year, and they didn't.
Here's the other thing, too. I know in terms of the, we tried to be a bit more muted than when it was broadcast through the county last time. But I was at my PT at Ortho Carolina that morning, and he was like, big going on in Marvin. And this guy lives in Indian Land. And I said, oh, what are you talking about? He's like, the trick or treat event. And I said, how did you learn about it? He said, they were advertising it on Cat Country. And
Okay, so
and
take
we didn't-
notes,
we didn't
Tyler,
contact them.
Start advertising on the radio. I don't know how they picked it up. I would call them and say, hey, you guys advertise this for us. Can you just tell me how it just call them and ask them.
I think it was because it was
guessing
on
They got
Google.
it from Charlotte on the Cheap, because I saw it advertised in Charlotte on the Cheap.
I know that Jill put it out there too.
We put it on
Again, I
Charlotte
mean,
on the
we
cheap,
can-
and then that
What's up?
some way connected to that was like a Google event to where like if you Googled like things to do near me right now, like it came from Charlotte on the Cheap, and then it was like inside Charlotte on the Cheap. Like I put it on Google, and then like if you typed in what's happening near me, it would come up like on Google. And we'll do the same thing. I mean,
I
we'll do
mean,
the same
I
thing
would,
for
I
Marvin
would,
Day, but
I would do the same thing. I'd start early. We got to start real early this year for Marvin Day, pushing it out. I know we're not talking about Marvin Day now, but it's always on my mind.
And I think Marvin Day during the day, I think there was a whole lot of participation during the day. It's just we fell off, when the night came and most of the people with kids were worn out by then. So I think we're looking at making some changes on that anyway.
I think we're going to start at 4.
3 or 4?
4. Start at 4, kind of really condense everything, so.
Yeah.
The vendors that we had, let's make sure we're reaching out for them for Marvin Day sponsors.
And then the parking, you guys did an amazing job rotating the parking, but even when I left, I mean, it was parking all down Newtown Road, both sides of the road, on the street, basically, for a couple of 100 yards down that way, and then all the way to the light, basically a crane the other way. So it was overflow parking, even though because people were coming and going. It's not like they were necessarily staying for the full time, even though we had the movie. There was a lot of in and out.
Did we have the sheriff's department there? I'm sure we did, right?
Yeah, we undershot it. We had a policeman, and we'll have we'll have 3 next time.
Okay, so did the one deputy have an issue with the street parking?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He's the one that shut us down because of that.
We got shut down.
We couldn't get any more.
But what about parking on the street? That's
There wasn't even any spots left. And then if you think about Newtown Road
Oh, yeah,
with
no, I know.
traffic,
It's like-
cars already on both sides.
Yeah.
People are either walking through the gutters and the weeds or walking on the street because the cars are just barely off the street.
And also the gentleman that lives right in front of the park, people was pulling in his driveway and it down in his yard to walk down there. He was upset.
Oh, I'm sure.
Very upset.
I'm sure.
Yep.
Okay.
So-
Well, I mean, okay.
Yeah. So that was pretty awesome. Next up is the tree lighting, be from 5 to 7 on December 9th. We'll have Santa Claus, we'll have the school band, school choir, we'll have an acoustic set from an individual who'll be kind of playing some background music throughout the evening. Hot chocolate, coffee, pretty much all that, but we'll start at 5, end at 7. Cookies as well. Publix cookies, the good ones. I think that's about it for coming up for event planning.
I have my elf costume ready.
The elf will be there as well. He's very excited. Everybody good on events? Everybody cool?
Yeah. how's the
Friendship
doing?
Tree. Friendship Tree started on November 1st. We're make it, I think 8 names gone so far. We'll have our pickup starting the last week in November. Drop off, not pick up. And that's about it. We started with 49 names this year. We got from the Christmas Bureau. So if we make a really strong push here early, we might reach out and get some more. Kind of depends on the dates and how it falls. But 49 is our goal number right now.
Do we have a PDF flyer for that?
PDF flyer? Like
Flyer,
something hand
like a
out?
flyer? Like a PDF that I can email to
Yeah.
the elementary school and the middle school? Can I have it? Will somebody send it to me?
Do they do that, or do they still have that peach jar thing?
I know the PTO presidents of both, and they're very kind and send it out for us
Okay.
and put it in their newsletter. So they're not. I can't do it for the high school because I don't know anybody on the high school, but I have friends on both elementary and middle still. So, but yes, they normally do. But so if you can send that to me, I'll send it to them to post.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right.
And I saw you got some things straightened out with the band. Have you been able to connect with the choir yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but I have gotten in contact with the band and the choir.
Okay.
So yeah, we're actually talking, I think I just got an email from them last night. So yeah, we're in good contact with them.
Great.
They'll each be out there doing a 4-song set. I believe the band will come at 6, and the choir is going to come before that, probably around 5:15.
Sounds good. As far as, do we have another meeting before? Yeah, we do.
Yes, yes.
Okay, because I was just wondering for volunteers and stuff, are you guys, what are we going to need for volunteers?
Honestly, nothing crazy. I don't think all this staff is going to be there, and I believe this is going to be more of an internal event. It's not, we hope 1,000 people don't show up to this one, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll just have the staff and the public works staff.
They have crafts and stuff like that for this one? Because I know they used to decorate their own ornament or...
Yeah, we're playing with that idea, just because it's so short and not that it's crowded, but if everybody's kind of like around bumping and everything, it is on our minds, though, that we had talked about ornaments or some type of tree hanging craft, something to take up some time.
Yeah.
Just kind of depends.
If you need volunteers for that, I'll work on
You'll
gathering
get some going.
folks.
Perfect.
You'll volunteer Tracy for it?
Well, that, and I think I might have some girls back from college
Ah,
for a
perfect.
break at that point, too, so.
I did want to mention it's not really, I mean, it is an event we're doing. I want to make sure that you guys all know that we're having the Board Appreciation Holiday Get-Together, again, at the Vandenbergs on the 14th at, I think, 6:30? Is that right, Austin, 6:30?
Sorry, let me double check. I want to make sure.
Either 6 or, I can't remember. Anyway, so just want you
What's the
significant.
date again?
The 14th. It's a Thursday,
Yeah, it's 6:30.
6:30, at the Vandenbergs in December 14th. So significant others, or tell them to stay home with the kids, whatever, or.
What time?
6:30.
If you're going, please let me know. If you have not already, I do need a head count.
Okay. Anything else on event planning?
I believe that's it on events.
All right, update on trails and greenways?
So,
Hunter said he had an update on trails.
I didn't know that.
he just told me to call him if we needed him. At Canterbury? Yeah, maybe. We still might call him, though. We'll see. But
He's so important, he has to be paged.
we, so the other day, this past Monday, I think we met with a lady from Canterfield on the HOA, and she proposed some trail connectivity through their neighborhood, kind of connecting them at the roundabout of Meadow Vista and Tom Short, I believe. I hope I got those road names right.
Is that the one that I know that we previously had one in Canterfield Creek that was removed at one point a number of years ago?
Once you stumped me.
Yeah, so is that the one that kind of the cul-de-sac that backs up to kind of where the swim place and everything is? Yeah, I believe that was on our list. You'd probably have to look back to like 2012 or so was when those things were happening, where a different council came in at some point and they started to have us remove some of the components of the Parks and Greenway plan. And we, as a board, never really voted on it, but I know that council had just decided to kind of remove some. And I think that might have been one, and I can't recall if there was a specific reason or request. It could have even been a neighbor nearby that doesn't even live here anymore.
Yeah, so even if it was taken off any type of former master plan, if easements were potentially dedicated, then rescinded and or abandoned by the village, there's still opportunity here for the village to do some type of trail connection. This is what was brought to Tyler and I's attention was multitude of things, to be honest.
Yeah.
One being, this conversation started out at basically doing a trail connection from, and maybe I just need to get my laptop.
Streamside lane.
No. Basically a trail connection, Not yes and no, no. That was yeah. If you guys are familiar with Tom Short, where the roundabout is, the closest crosswalk path on the Marvin Creek side. It's already striped for sidewalk crossing. There's already a sidewalk on the interior from Tullamore to Marvin Creek. Basically, there's a goat path there now. Looking at doing a full trail, basically sidewalk connection, ADA accessible ramp on the Canterville Creek side, tied up into their athletic fields up there. Kind of two different options. One would be to bring it around to the parking lot. One would be to bring it around the fields and tie into their existing trail. So that's one thing that's how the conversation started out. The second thing was then that they do have interior trail networks, few bridges, I don't know the condition. Tyler and I are going to probably go out there this week. But there's opportunity there to potentially get those in our network if we would like. And I think that's kind of what some of this conversation is why Tyler wanted to put this on the agenda, because this is something as PR&G board, if this is something we want to pursue, then it, make not maybe a recommendation now, but could be a recommendation to council to move forward. But Tyler and I wanted to go out there, kind of assess their existing trail system. I mean, there's some paved trails. I don't know if they're all paved. I don't know if then they're paved and there's just some goat path type things and they're common open space that can then be utilized for trails, the crushed concrete. And I do know there's some existing bridges that need some work. So there's more opportunity. Then just kind of looking at it would basically be getting Greenway Trail connection / maybe even a multi-use path from their trails up to Joe Carr Road. And like I said, I can go get my laptop and try to lay it out. This was all just kind of all conceptual, discussion based. And then the third thing, which was very interesting, is that we were told that they would be open to letting the village utilize those fields for recreational programming. So a lot to kind of digest. I mean, it was a very, very good, productive meeting. But, one thing that kind of came up out of that was, okay, if we do like a trailheader, we do use those athletic fields. Where are they going to park? They have about 23 parking spots at their pool. We talked about there's a chance they may look to close the pool. I mean, there's literally a lot of different kind of moving parts to this, but if we would have still had that parking lot by Tullamore, right? But I did have conversations with Marvin Creek's HOA president, just kind of wondering if, they would be open if we do kind of go down this route to be able to utilize maybe some additional parking at their amenity center, and we'd have that sidewalk greenway connectivity. That's an option. So it's just a lot of stuff for the village to explore. I think the first, in short, would just be probably doing a simple trail connection, because this is something that I know Canterville Creek residents bounce back and forth like Tullamore, Amber Meadows, or even bounce up Tom Short to, the Coles. So this would be creating that just formal connection, and then, look at the greater good of working with Canterville Creek's HOA, either to, once again, gain more trail connectivity throughout. The last thing we looked at was there was an option potentially, I know it does abut Wyndham Hall. I mean, there's different kind of ways that you can look at connectivity through common open space. Now, once again, topo and actual connectivity is different. But we did kind of map out one interior of Canterville Creek that got you all the way to the entrance of Canterville Creek. You could then be on Joe Carr and hop on the Marvin Loop. So, because they don't have interior sidewalk. But, sorry, I know I just talked a lot. But yeah, it was a very good meeting, and I think Tyler and I just wanted to update you guys on that, kind of maybe even get some, recommendations, direction on what all we want to look into, because there, like I said, there is a lot there to digest.
Yeah, I just kind of looked it up. I believe there was a Canterfield Creek slated there, but I think it was the November 2nd, 2010 special minutes yeah, November 2nd of 2010, I think is when it was. So, I mean, just to kind of find out where it was planned and.
So Hunter, I'm curious, is their motivation in reaching out for this just that they'd like to see more trails? Or I guess what we're doing is, as the Village of Marvin is taking over the maintenance of those trails away from the HOA, like unloading that from them, and that's also their incentive in this?
This is it.
So I mean, I'm all for trails, but just so that I know, we're taking on the additional maintenance and they become ours.
This conversation started out as just doing that connector.
Right.
Which would be village maintained. And then it got into, like I said, greater conversation. We did talk about their interior trail networks, and this was just me talking at a staff level. I did tell her, I was like, look, if we are looking at, if we're gonna do the trail network or potentially look at what's existing or what we could potentially utilize, then that would be something that the village would probably then take maintenance responsibility over from the HOA on those trails, and probably have them actually map out the easement of the existing, as well as grant for all of that connectivity. But like I said, it's kind of just multi-phased or however we look at it. But yes, it was kind of a mixture of all of those, so.
Okay. So if we do extend these, like you said, it's a multi-phase thing, but jumping ahead to the end thing is we would be taking over a trail network within the neighborhood, and that would become our responsibility. But in exchange for that,
It's a
we get to
public
use the
trail.
fields.
Yeah.
And okay.
And, I mean, it's also an asset.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I just wanted to make sure I understood the arrangement.
Yes. It's there. Nope, it'll come back.
Hunter,
Sorry.
can members of the PRG attend the walk that you're going to investigate, the trails?
Yeah, well, Tyler and
Part of that? Because Jen's got a good point. We'd like to see the condition of the trails and what we're going to inherit if we do inherit it.
I am down for whatever. Tyler and I were just really going to find a day when we both have free time. It was nice. It's pretty nice this week. That we were going to go out there, look at the fields, because from what I can tell, there's basically two, if you guys are familiar for Canterfield Creek, and I can pull it up here on Austin's laptop if you need me to. They have 3 fields roughly, and I think it would basically be 3, maybe 8v8 soccer fields. I think you could potentially get 2 8v8s, one 11v11. But they then have I think it's an asphalt trail that comes off the cul-de-sac beside the fields and comes in, and it ties into another cul-de-sac. Can't remember the road names at the current moment. And there's another one that kind of wides off of that and shoots up there, which is Canterfield. No, is it Belmont? Either way, that's really all they got existing. But there was some side paths where you can see bridges even on GIS, and that's kind of where we don't know what's there, if it was paved at some point and then not, as well as the conditions of the bridge. But either way, yeah, I mean, if you guys would like to just do a field trip, I guess.
It's going to be nice today and tomorrow, and then it's going to start getting yucky on Thursday, just so you know. My question was, if we do take over these trails and they are going to be public trails, are they okay with that? Because I'm not gonna sit there and, refurbish trails and just have it for Canterfield
Correct.
residents.
And once again, this is one member of the HOA board, but she was very, optimistic, and it seems like that she was saying that the HOA board in general is willing to work with us. But yes, it would be public, and it seems like they have no issue, because that's what they she was basically conveying that they want that connectivity between the neighborhoods. That's even something that came up during the athletic field conversation, was that even though they only have 23 parking spots, like if we get the programming works out how we kind of envision it, there's an opportunity there for parents, kids to walk to those fields, especially being tied into with Marvin Creek, Tullamore, Canterville Creek. That's kind of some of the intent. So it didn't seem like it was an issue, or that was ever not the thought, because that was, so the conversation started out as a public trail connector between the two.
Has she had conversations with her board about this? All right, let's have that conversation with her and find that out. I don't want you guys spending a ton of time on this if their board's not even really interested in the bigger opportunities. It sounds like they're interested in the connector opportunities, which I'm fine with. But before you guys go out and spend a lot of time and energy and effort, let's find out what their board thinks. And quite honestly, I'd like to get a temperature check from the neighborhood before we do a lot of work on this too.
I will say the one thing she did convey is that the board, or that she said that, I think the board basically, from my understanding, they have a lot of other things going on, as in, I think there's some things with their BMPs that have to be, like they have to do a study. She talked about potential, like, the maintenance of the pool. There was a bunch of things that she said that the HOA is looking at, and that's part of the reason I think the field conversation came up, because we'd probably have to pay a fee, or a renting or leasing fee.
That was going to be my next question.
Are they going to
let us use this out of the goodness of their hearts, or do they want money out of that?
She said, it wasn't like, hey, we want like this amount. It was just more like, that's what she said, that they would probably want to do a fee, because that is what would make the most sense.
I'm not opposed to that, but I would like to know what they were thinking of. Is it $25 a day? Is it $100 a day? Is it $500 a day? Like, what are we looking at?
But yeah, definitely I can have a follow-up conversation. Like I said, that was like my first question. I was like, are you on the HOA? Like, and she conveyed.
Do you have any authority here?
Yeah, she conveyed that that she was on the HOA, and that, that when we were talking about getting easements and stuff, she said it should not be any type of issue for the trails,
All right, well, let's circle back around with her. Again, I don't want you guys doing a lot of work on this and spending time that it's like, they're like, what are you talking, like, we're not interested in this at all, after you guys have put in, a week's worth of work into it. But I do think it's a good idea, if they are interested, to take a couple people out when you guys go walk it and just check it out, make some notes, see the condition it's in. If it's kind of like, maybe not like, it's not going to be in pristine condition, it doesn't sound like, but even if there's like kind of, it's already laid out there, that's a lot of the work to begin with. So I would be okay with that, looking at it and taking a look at the cost of it. Because I do, again, we want the trail connectivity, we want that connectivity between neighborhoods, and I'd like to be able to utilize their fields. I think that's a great opportunity for the village.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is, like, the only negative to like how we try to lay out or trying to do connectivity is they don't have internal sidewalk. And like where I kind of mapped out where the trail would come up, it would dump you out on the road, and then you would still have to walk a little bit to get to Joe Carr. But that's where Canterville Creek Street, the streets in Canterville Creek are maintained by the village. So we could potentially do some like shared use path multi-purpose path where we could stripe it like a bike or a pedestrian lane in that section, where then you could still count it as kind of a trail / walkway. But because those roads are fairly wide as well, so it does provide we can do it that way, or we could look at potentially doing sidewalk if we wanted like an actual continuous type loop to get to the front. But that's, like I said, that would probably be the last thing we think about, so I just at least wanted to mention it.
And just one other piece to that, I think there was also a Wyndham Hall connector discussed at one point, with those two being so close to one another.
There was, but I'm about 99% sure. I do know the Wyndham Hall easement was abandoned, or at
Yes.
least the one at the front on Joe Carr and Marvin School.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, that one was abandoned, and that one, once again, unless Wyndham Hall came to us and was like, hey, you want to do this? It's not even anything.
Long walk for a short drink of water.
Okay. Anything else on trails and greenways? All right, the next is discussion of ideas for Heritage Park Heritage at Marvin Park. And is there someone specifically to lead that, or it's just kind of?
This was a carryover from the last meeting, so if y'all brought your ideas.
Well, and this, since our last meeting, I know we've learned more about some of the things with the GO bonds, and some of that could potentially affect this, and some of those projects, I guess, are already on that list. Is that correct?
Say that again?
So some of the ideas that we talk about here are ideas that are already kind of laid out as possibilities in the GO bond list, like an amphitheater.
Yeah, but I don't think we would put an amphitheater over at the Heritage Park. It's not big enough.
Which one is the Heritage Park we're
Over
talking
at the
about?
new roundabout, right outside of
Oh,
Christina's
okay.
neighborhood.
I thought,
Not the business district.
that's what I was
Yes,
confusing
no,
there.
that's okay, that's, Heritage Neighborhood, that park over there.
Okay, the Heritage Neighborhood Park,
yes.
okay.
It's like 2.3 acres, something like that?
I don't even know if it's that
No.
big.
Okay, let's
Yeah,
call
it's
it
pretty
2.
small.
Let's call it 2. I think it's 2 and a smidge. But yeah, no, I don't think we have anything earmarked in the park bond for that.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I was confusing it with
no,
the
you're
Heritage
fine.
District that we're talking
no,
about
you're
off
good.
of
And it's
this.
adjacent to what is now Metal Art.
Correct,
Right, okay.
yes.
The other side of the street from
The
where
other
we've
side
been
of the street
poking around.
from the invasive
Yeah,
area that we have.
yes.
Well, and I guess one of the things that I'm wondering too is, the great new roundabout there has definitely helped traffic and stuff, but how do we see this park would be on the other side of the street from where the Marvin Loop is?
It would be, but it also has sidewalk connectivity within the roundabouts, like they actually did which was great. So when you're coming, I mean, what I suspect would be, so it's going to be on the Innisbrook side, so you're coming up and it's making a left on Newtown, but you would have the crosswalks going across the Newtown, and then you would have it going across the Meadowlark Lane entrance to get into the park, like if you were walking it. And then it would also be but I mean, it's really, it's for all of Marvin, but it's like an internal park for that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it was dedicated to us as park space, so more of a passive, because it's not really big enough to do a whole lot with. So
Yeah.
I think, that's what we were trying to figure out. What do we want to put there? What do we want to have? I mean, I still love the workout, station idea. I think that's a great idea. Council approved it a couple years ago, but it never happened. So, and I think you could do that throughout the park area, and then throughout the trail that they're going to have that's going around that. But that's just one idea. And again, it's going to be something that you're walking to, but it's not going to be, you're not going to come up this side. I mean, you're going to have to cross the road regardless of however you get there. So it's either going to be you're crossing it, Marvin Road crossing it and then Newtown, or you're crossing Newtown and Meadowlark, which I think would probably be the safer way to go. But it does have the crosswalks within the concrete islands, which is nice, because we don't have them here. And we're gonna have to add them whenever we do get the sidewalk.
Yeah. I'm not,
Where would you park?
She's saying
You
don't
wouldn't.
There's no
walk
parking.
there.
There's
there
no
wouldn't be
parking.
any.
You would walk. It's a walkable park.
from, I mean, Town Hall would really be the closest,
To
right?
park. Or once the Heritage District gets up and running, like you could park there.
So there's, oh, maybe I'm misunderstanding. So why would it not just be a passive park? Why wouldn't we leave it natural?
I mean, we might. That's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah,
So I will tell you,
because without parking, I mean, for us to put equipment, let's say, station equipment out there for people to work out or whatever, I mean, it'd be, the people that would work out are residents of Meadowbrook. I mean,
Meadowlark.
Meadowlark, yeah, I mean, it's
That's
almost,
fine.
to me, a Meadowlark specific activity.
That's fine, though.
Yeah, they're not most likely going to use that, right? I mean, they would walk up there, but they're not.
They're not gonna
But if the other subdivision goes in, then you're looking at 60 houses on top of the 20 that we already have.
But
or
let's say
19.
10% of the people use it.
I know.
You got
I agree
6
with you.
people.
I agree with you about a passive park.
Yeah.
Here's the only problem with that. It is covered up in invasives.
Why couldn't we clean it?
We could. And I
leave it
know
nat-
just the team to do
I
it.
think so, and leave it natural.
Yeah. So the
That's
little,
one of the things people move to Marvin for.
I agree.
think one of the great assets of Marvin is the naturalness of our community.
100%.
And we don't need to fill it with things,
Agreed.
in my opinion.
And truly, if we don't clean it up, she and I, Jen and I are already struggling with that other little tiny piece that's
Tiny
on the
bit.
other side. It is, I would say, 80% invasives. So, and it's, like English ivy. It's not going to go away. It's not even, I don't even know how you kill the stuff. But anyway, so that's kind of more of the same because it came from the same place. But I think it would be a great endeavor to clean it up. It won't be easy, but it would be a great endeavor to clean it up and then let whatever grows naturally here come back because there's a ton of plants that are happy here
Now, I'd
once
like
you
to
kill
hear
the
other-
ivy.
Yeah, I'd like to hear other people's opinion, but I just think
It would also be a nice buffer.
naturalness here is a huge asset.
It would be a nice buffer from a little bit of the Newtown side and certainly from the Meadowlark side. And I can promise you my neighborhood would prefer that. Yeah. Most of them.
I agree with Bob and Christina. I want to keep it as a passive park. The most I would want to see there is just a walking path connecting to another.
I think there is a walking path going through there. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to invest any more than that, than just cleaning out the invasives, maybe planting some natives, and then allowing whatever nature places there works with me.
Well, and I also think that doing it that way doesn't preclude you down the road for doing
Exactly.
something as we continue to build out as the Heritage District. There's something to be said for kind of keeping a blank canvas for future
Yeah.
councils.
Those are good
We're making these investments in these pieces of property and things like that. But it's not incumbent on us to have to do something with it. Sometimes the best thing to do is nothing for a while, and we'll continue to see how things develop around it. We've got a public works staff now, but still, there's a lot we've already got on their plate to kind of work out and get a cadence for and things like that. So, adding other potential maintenance requirements, makes it tougher on them as they kind of develop their, programs and things for maintenance and stuff like that with what we already have.
I think it would be kind of an interesting project, if you want to call it that, to get rid of the invasives as quickly as we could, and that would not be easy. It really is covered up in wisteria, English ivy, and privet that I know of, and there's probably some other crap in there. But to get rid of that and then see what happens. As long as we keep those invasives out, see who shows up. Who?
No, I think in the
What?
I think in the near
Maybe.
term and potentially the long term, that's a great solution. And I really like John's point that, we can't decide right at this moment what we would use it for. Other than just, leaving it in perpetuity as just natural. But if we can't devise another use for it right now because we don't know what the development's gonna be like or the business district is gonna be like, why should we force ourselves to make it
Exactly.
commit to a use that we can't even foresee? So if in the future, like, to John's point, if in the future, the business district or the development, and not just that development, but the development of Marvin itself dictates a better use, then better that we don't have to take anything out.
Yeah, agreed. Because right now you would be supporting 19 houses in Meadowlark Farms or whatever.
Right.
Farms of Meadowlark, whatever.
Who, for the most part, probably would like to see it just remain natural.
Right.
For the most part, I think you're right.
And I
Yes.
think even if we developed it into something, I don't know that a lot of people would walk to it as a destination, so.
We have plenty of walkers, but, that's what they're doing.
They're
is
passing
walking.
through, yeah.
Yeah, they're walking.
Yeah.
Well, did you have something?
No. I'm just glad that we're going that direction.
So our proposal is a passive park and get rid of the invasives? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And Kimberly, you might have missed while you were out. What I was saying is that it's not really incumbent on us to have to do something right now, but it may become more clear as the Heritage District continues to kind of develop around it, and that might give us a better idea of, wow, that makes a good use, and then we're not kind of investing funds or doing things now other than,
I don't think that we were going to do anything physically with it until the neighborhood was complete, and that is a number of years out. We just really wanted to start the conversation and see what the ideas were. So, I mean, for now, we can't do anything with it now because they're not gonna dedicate it to us until they're done with the neighborhood anyway. So, we've got some time.
So that bears the question, though, what we were saying when you were out is that I've walked that little chunk of property, and sadly, it's probably at least 50% invasive plants that are not going to just stop growing because the ownership changes hands.
Or the construction doesn't kill them too,
Oh,
right?
it
So-
won't. Yeah, no, they'll thrive in that.
They'll be the parts that,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
they'll be the
like
things
that.
survive.
They like disturbance. So it would be helpful that the sooner we could get hold of it, we put it on our invasive plant workshops and start cleaning it up.
So once Jones Homes closes on the property, we can have a conversation with them about that. I don't imagine they would have a problem with that, but.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah, right.
So I'm happy to have that conversation. Once they close and they start kind of doing their stuff over there.
Right.
Then we can kind of map out the, like what the borders would be and kind of look
Yes.
at it and see kind of what it looks like and then, start working on it. Again, I don't think they would have a problem with it, but we'll ask them and we'll find out.
Worth the conversation. And it is
Yep.
the same issue with the little bit that's across the street,
Yeah.
because it's,
Yeah, and so once Jones Homes closes on the property, that will have then been dedicated to the village. That won't be something that is waits until the neighborhood is finished. So once that closes, then we can start working on that property.
so that's the
there.
smaller piece of property that's
That's that little
across.
kind of weird triangle
Yeah.
that backs up to Scott Lett's
So-
property and.
Have we determined that the space that used to be old, I call it Old Meadowlark, where they covered up where the old road was, that is part of that section? That is part of that section. So eventually, sooner rather than later, the village will own that property.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
we're gonna, good.
yes.
That just needed to
Yes.
settle
And-
that for many
And I
reasons.
like your plant plan. And so once it gets turned over, or your plant plan, whoever's plant plan was.
It was a communal effort.
Hours.
We held hands and drew it together.
Yes.
Love it. We will have better knowledge of how we're going to have water there as well, because we're working on that situation for the roundabout. So there's things in motion. So we have the plan. Once it's ours,
Right.
we will probably have a water plan by that point in time, I'm hoping. and then we can kind of move forward. We're probably, I mean, I don't think they'd close until March on the property, I believe. So we probably won't plant much stuff then, so we may have to just wait till the fall, but we can start working.
We can start working on clearing once it's
Correct.
ours to
Yes.
mess around with.
Yeah, it would be, that empty spot would be really great to get something growing in there, because there'll be something growing in it. If we
Yes.
leave it for a year, we will be
Yes.
cleaning it out too, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So.
But, and unfortunately, or fortunately, it's actually nice soil, so really strong weeds will grow in there. Really
Fabulous.
happy.
So, but it may be an okay time to plant. I'm gonna leave that
Oh,
up
no,
to you.
spring
guys.
is fine.
Depending on the time and depending on our very erratic climate, it could be a marvelous
Okay.
spring all the way into late April to plant.
And again,
you know.
hopefully we'll have the water situation situated by then, so.
Well, with the plan that we have, watering for the first year may or may not be necessary, but, I mean, depending on the weather, like
pick it
we have.
back up.
But after that, it's on its own. That's the point. Yeah. Left up to the weather.
And so to summarize, I think for the other side of the street, once that becomes ours to toy with, kind of the same plan, clean the invasives, maybe supplement with some natives or just let natives take over until such time as we have a better idea
Yeah,
of
and I mean, I think we're
who
gonna have
and
a
what the
path
best purpose would be.
through there. I think
Yeah,
there's
just a
gonna
path
be
through
some
there.
Stuff through there. Again, we just kind of wanted to get some ideas, and if right now you guys are just saying, let's just clean it up, get rid of the stuff we don't want in there, and leave it kind of en
I think we're
natural.
tabling a specific purpose until
fine.
we know more about the development and the demands and the Heritage Park District and who would be using it.
Right, okay. Well,
So.
And I would even go so far as to say, personally, I would say passive park until something better comes. I mean, it would have to be a lot better idea than that, because why? Why work that hard? Because walking through the woods is really nice, especially if they're not full of ivy.
Okay.
And I think I said this when you were out of the room, I do think it's a nice opportunity for a sort of a educational project, because a lot of people inherit land that looks like that. And we can show them, this is what it looked like, we'll take a lot of pictures, this is what it looked like, we cleaned it up, and now this is what it looks like. So you understand that you can make this better.
So do you think that you would actually, I mean, I'm not being smart about it, but do you think that maybe we might actually use it as like an educational piece where you have the
Love to do that.
laminated like signs,
Yeah.
and it's like, this is, and this is what this plan is. and this is what-
Reclaiming the land.
Well, we're letting the guys who are supposed to be here reclaim it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually
Re-reclaim.
might be a really good passive
Yeah.
use, as opposed to, I mean, we may decide to make it an exercise trail and whatever, but instead of investing in equipment that needs to be maintained, if it's
you could-
relatively inexpensive
But you could do
to
both.
put signage.
I mean, you could do both.
Well, we can do both long-term, but I mean, even in the nearer term.
So, I mean, that might be something to think about, because, I mean, I know where I grew up, there was a park, I mean, it was a beautiful park, and it had like all kinds of different trees, and there was a plaque by each tree, and it told you what its, Latin name was, and its, English name is, and what it is, and, had like a thing, and so that might be something
So
interesting
we
to.
could do two different things there. One, the ID kind of idea there, which is easy. The other is to say, this used to be covered with wisteria and English ivy, knock on wood, hopefully it's all gone now. That'll never happen. But most of it is gone now. And now this is what's here, that was not here before. Because I actually investigated that property last year with boots on up to like here, because it just was, it's awful. And I found almost, other than the trees, I found almost nothing in there that was not invasive. I mean, the trees, yeah, they're great. But the lower level stuff is privet, and there was a little ebony spleenwort, and that was it. Anyway, so there's a great educational
I mean, it
opportunity
really
there.
could be like maybe more of an educational
that would be
type
awesome.
situation that we then market to the schools to say, come and, you've got whatever they can use it for. I don't know. I'm not the science person.
Well,
so.
absolutely, you can come, and this is
I'm like
a,
the botanist to botany.
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, no, this is an
Well,
oak tree. and
So
this-
my daughter heads her sustainability club at her school, and they would be interested in pointing out pollinators, native species, how they interact with, native species of plants, how they interact with native
mean,
species of animal.
It's an idea.
So on and so forth.
That would kind of do two purposes.
Yes,
So.
I like the idea. Okay. So the invasive plant workshops will continue forever.
Okay. Next, anything else on those ideas for Heritage at Marvin Park.
That was easy.
All right. No new business, so review of action items.
I yield back.
Review of ongoing action item list.
I do want to, if it's not on the list, I want to make sure we get it back in there. The idea of new construction in Marvin cannot use invasive plants on their,
So that is
Plant
some, that is in progress. Hunter, that's going into the UDO rewrite that the planning
Okay.
board's working on. So he's still working on that?
yeah, and I sent him an email about it, so I think we're covered, but.
Yeah.
Christina just wants it on that my list.
Yes.
So that we just keep
We don't
following up
forget.
with it. So if it's not on there, I didn't bring my computer.
Let me open up the list. The reason
I
we
was
didn't,
tired,
the
I'm
reason we
sorry.
didn't add it on is because really, there's no more action for the board to take
Okay,
on that.
that's fine.
And it's in the planning board's hands now with the UDO.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it is still in the works.
Good.
Do you want me to go through the rest of the list really fast? It's pretty short.
Sure, if you want to.
Not Hunter, Tyler, where are we with the Easter egg hunt? I feel like
Made a
Andy-
date recommendation going on this regular council meeting for March 23rd for the event to happen.
Okay. Oh, you guys did your ideas for the park, so good job there. Are we good with the choir for the tree lighting? Okay. Christina, you said you did you finish the list and send it to Hunter for the invasive species? Okay, so you're good there. You guys have already did your planting list. And you've done that too. Actually, you guys have pretty much completed your whole list short of pocket park ideas with the Girl Scouts and Eagle Scouts. You guys have those on hold. Are we still keeping those on hold?
Yeah, just leave it on there. That's fine.
Okay, so yeah. You guys completed everything on there, so.
You know,
Okay.
if the education idea at whatever this Heritage at Marvin Park thing worked, Publix could be a similar idea.
Yeah.
There's not much education right now, but we could make it more.
Educational.
Educational model,
Vacation.
yes.
So before we wrap up, because it's sort of tangentially related to events and we're not having a Marvin Day meeting today, Tyler, do we have a digital flyer for the sponsors that shows all the levels and stuff like that? Yeah, can we push that out to everybody who might be able, because I know that I need that to talk to people to say, here are the levels and stuff.
Send it to council and send it to all the boards and be like, hey, here it is, just in case you need it. And then that way
Yeah,
they'll
and then
have
once
it.
I have it, I can push it out to people via email that I might be interested in, and then
I've
I
been-
don't have
I've
to
been sending it
recount
out and it looks nice when
It
you
looks,
open it.
yeah, okay, great. So if you have a copy of that, I definitely know I need one, and if you push it out to other people, it might help get people to forward it on. Yeah. Cool.
All right, you're good.
All right, next is board member comments.
Good.
Jen?
It's been lovely.
Just the one thing I'd say, it's election day, so everybody,
Go vote.
please get out and vote. All right, and do I hear a motion on the table to adjourn the Village of Marvin Parks Recreation and Greenways meeting here on November 7th at 10:04 a.m.?
So moved. Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Go vote.
Thank you.
Austin, thank you so much for that camera idea. You made it soft. It will, once they see the price, it will, the price of the gate, yes, then it'll solve it. Oh, okay.